And we're live. Welcome back, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Here, as always, I'm your comedian / meteorologist for the evening, Hudson. And I will be bringing you all of tonight's top weather stories with a great attitude. That's the difference. Gotta watch. I'm getting more in touch with the time now. You know how wearing an analog watch with a real physical moving second hand can subconsciously make you more in touch with time. Well, I'm gonna put that to the test. I think it does. Wearing a watch, more aware of time. Who would have thought? Okay. I've also elected to have a very important magic materia offering its presence throughout this show. I'm also slowly releasing some cleansing smoke into the air right now, just because the vibes are a lot right now for people. I want to incorporate the energy of something positive and protective and perhaps banishing of ill intent, because there seems to be a lot of people taking on the current energy in a very challenging way. And we'll I guess we'll dig into what's challenging about the energy right now later on in the broadcast, planetary wise. But other than that, there's just been a lot of geomagnetic conditions. There's been active geomagnetic conditions. It's like storming and radio bursts and otherwise. And we've also had winter storms breaking out across the mid-latitudes in the so-called United States and United Kingdom. There's been earthquakes. Large earthquake in Tibet recently struck the second largest city in Tibet, Shaanxi, and that is unfortunately coming with a lot of fatalities. So let me go ahead and make sure that we've got this pulled up correctly. Nope, we don't. Let me change this window to the right window. Didn't do it before. There we go. At least 95 dead after powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake hits near Mount Everest. I don't know why they said near Mount Everest. Maybe calling the region Tibet or China or autonomous region of Tibet is too dicey for them. Western China, whatever they're going to call it. At least 95 people have reportedly died and 130 have been injured after the earthquake hit Western China. So it's also being reported as a 6.8 by some local authorities in China. It's being reported as a 7.1 by the USGS. That's triangulated from the US. So, you know, it was along the normal faulting at shallow depth north of the boundary between Eurasia and Indian continents. More than 1,000 homes have been damaged in the earthquake. The name of the response team here is Tibetan Earthquake Response. So I don't know what's so hard to say about calling it Tibet. But anyway, let me exit my email so you don't see that. In another large headline that we've got going on, wildfires are raging in LA County. We've got this is the Palisades fire in Pacific Palisades, California. A brush fire exploded on Tuesday morning in the Pacific Palisades area of Los Angeles, fueled by the Santa Ana winds and dry conditions. Brush fire has grown to nearly 3,000 acres by this evening. Dramatic images show pillars of smoke. People were captured fleeing on foot. This is a firefighter battling the fires as it burns structures. These are nice homes, nice places that are in Southern California with pools. So this is millions of dollars of development. Water is being dropped by helicopters. People who live there are watching with goggles and masks. Just terrifying scenes. Everybody should be wearing masks if they're in a wildfire smoke area. This is not pretty clouds. This is terrifying clouds. A resident tries to protect his property from the flames closing in on his homes. Threatened by the wind-driven fires. A brush fire burns near Palisade homes. Many people fleeing by car and on foot because the traffic got so bad, people just had to abandon their cars and walk away. This is very scary imagery. I mean, this is your worst nightmare if you live in California. Wildfires are your natural enemy there, the most threatening natural disaster you could get to. I mean, even if you're not in harm's way, you still see it from far away and it's scary. Yeah, use clothing to partially cover your face. This is incredible imagery. Just really striking, that sunset lighting, the fire lighting. A big plume of smoke passes over the beach, because this is very close to the beach, apparently. I don't know exactly. I'm not familiar with the local areas of LA. I don't know where Palisades is off the top of my head, but looks like a pretty fancy neighborhood. This is from Sunset Boulevard, so that's one I've heard of. More than 10,000 homes are under threat, and roughly 30,000 residents are under evacuation orders. So let's go ahead and take a look at that on the fire. Where's my wildfire web activity map? Yeah, that's exactly where I want to look. Thank you. So let's see. One right in Beverly Hills is called the Sunset Incident. That's from today at 1:11 p.m. 0.1 acres burned. In West Hollywood, flamers in West Hollywood, right off of Queens Road. So that happened in West Sunset Boulevard. They've got a wildfire growing on here. This is the Palisades fire incident. So this is just past Santa Monica Canyon, between the Santa Ynez Canyon and the Pulga Canyon and the Temescal Canyon, just south of Topanga State Park. These are all little incidents of the fire. This is the extent of the fire, the size of the fire. This is the area. The Pulga Canyon is the area where everybody's having to evacuate right now. So near between Tuna Canyon Park and Will Rogers State Beach is this scary fire. This is closer to Santa Monica than LA. So this really is right on the beach. I mean, the fire goes right up to the water here. Parker Mesa and I don't really, I'm saying this like I know these places, but I don't. There's also wildfires in Inglewood, in let's see, near Huntington Park, actually Willowbrook, Bell Gardens, Whittier, got just tons. These are all from the past few days. Not contained or not available fires. New in the past 24 hours is all of these yellow ones. So all these yellow ones are all the ones that popped up in the last day. The Zelda incident is over here. The Palisades incident says area burned, not available, but on that other thing, we saw 3,000 acres, 30,000 acres were reported as being burned right now. Let's see. Where else? Up as we get towards Pasadena and Glendale, there's also little isolated fires popping up, but West Covina popping up some fires. Let's see. This fire, the bridge incident, is a fire perimeter. So that's not active. It's 100% contained. But it was a huge incident this past fall. Look at all these new near Riverside, near Santa Ana, the winds so named as. Pretty much every neighborhood in LA except for straight up downtown, because it doesn't have any wildlife whatsoever, is looking at wildfires just everywhere around LA, but especially near Santa Monica, just north of Santa Monica, on the other side of Santa Clarita. Yeah, looking nasty for those wildfires. It is not even the hot season, but it is the dry season there, I think. Well, it's supposed to be the wet season. Never mind. This is... Other fires look to be pretty well contained, though, so we can be grateful for that. Any new fires over here in the southeast? Not really. Maybe one or two popping up in... one popped up here in South Texas today, but other than that, we're looking pretty good. There is one here on the border of the Panther Creek fire incident. Happened over like Christmas break. That's contained. These are all discovered, but these are prescribed burns. Never mind. Prescribed burns are going on in the Unicoi Mountains and in Polk County, Tennessee. Anyway, prescribed burns are good. They're fine. We still have the red flag warnings going on and fire weather watches going on in LA County and Orange County. Is this Orange County? I forget. Yeah. Oxnard, San Diego, what does this say? San Jacinto Ranger District, San Diego County. We've got Santa Clarita Valley, all of these areas, Ventura Beach, Ventura County, all of this, and especially north, west, and east of Los Angeles. We're looking at lots and lots of fires popping up. Just a ring of fire around LA. No matter which direction you go, everything's on fire in LA. So that's fun. The thermal anomalies here are not necessarily fires. They're just places that are hot. So I can tell you one place it's not hot. It is not very hot in this is a Song of Ice and Fire right here. This is in Indiana where Winter Storm Blair just swept through. This is power lines exploding in Indiana due to the freezing rain, the ice that has accreted onto the power lines. They burst into flames from short-circuiting, electrical failures, causing electrical fires. One witness says a tree fell nearby, causing a transformer to fail. When a transformer fails, it can push more energy through the power lines than they're supposed to have, and that will cause them to overheat and catch on fire if it's not dealt with properly. It could cause there to be no power on one side of it and all the power on the other side, or cause it to ramp up and over generate amperage. It could do stuff like this, power lines exploding. I don't think that's from just the ice. I think that's from transformer failing. Okay, scary stuff, but very pretty, I guess. Massive avalanche cascades down canyon, blocks Utah highway. There was a avalanche in Cottonwood Canyon on January 4th in Utah, blocking State Route 210, Little Cottonwood Canyon. Here's the video of big old avalanche. That is terrifying. Very, very scary sight. Highway had been closed to perform avalanche mitigation. Well, that is very fortunate. They didn't mitigate it. The intentionally triggered slide caused further obstruction. Okay, so they caused an avalanche to keep an avalanche from happening. It eventually was cleared and reopened, but dang, that's still very scary. Okay. Let's go now to check out our earthquakes. Earthquakes. Oh, I didn't click on it. Okay. Oh, and I didn't elect to put this on there either. Let's go to earthquakes. Here we go. So, oh, I also didn't get a very good thingy on here. No, I don't want single site. Let's go for this. Still got power outages all over the place there. Let's see. Can I leave that go in the background? Is that going to do anything? I want to put it on temperatures while we're looking at earthquakes. No, I'm going to put it on satellite imagery of upper level water vapor will be fine. That'll be just fine. Oh, I forgot to plug in my vape. I forgot to plug in a lot of my stuff before I got everything started. Oh, I didn't. I put it in my... I started carrying a purse again. It's very weird. Weird for me personally. Personally. It's a personal issue. Okay. Let's take a look at the earthquakes that we got going on. So, did I put you in the right thing? Yes. Earthquakes. We got a stack in Puerto Rico. Down here in Bolivia, we had a 4.5 at 182 kilometers depth. There was a 4.2 near it in Argentina, or Chile, I'm sorry, at 4.2 and a 4.2 magnitude at 136 kilometers depth. Up into the United States, we had our normal little clusters in central and western Texas, a 3.1 in southwestern Wyoming at 0 kilometers depth. So maybe would have been felt by people if you were out there, if there were any people in Wyoming, which is unlikely. sorry, Wyomingites. I know that you exist. It's just like kind of feels like a made up state. They're all made up. We had a smattering of low level quakes across Montana, western Montana. We've also got where the wildfires are breaking out in LA. There is, well, actually, just southeast of where the wildfires are breaking out, in like closer to San Diego, we've got our Southern California quakes. Then we've got our normal stack here near Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. It's not near the Air Force Base. Well, actually, this one looks like it is. This 1.6 is close to Carson City. It says Shrews, Nevada. No, it's not Nellis Air Force Base. What am I talking about? That's all the way down here. National Security Site, whatever. This is near the Naval Air Station Fallon bombing and Fallon Naval Air Station bombing range. So nothing to see here. Probably not an earthquake triggered by bombs or anything. This is technically on the Walker River Reservation. So really hope that we're not bombing a reservation, but it wouldn't be the first time. Let's see. Next, this 1.6, that was very close to Reno. This is just outside Reno, near Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. I don't know what's over there, but that's where that 1.6 was. Then we had kind of on the same latitude, this stack of quakes at the Geysers, California. I'm pretty sure. Yep, the Geysers. That is a hot spot for earthquakes. Something is happening in this area that is just always in Sonoma County in the Mayacamas Mountains. I want to call them the Mayacamas Mountains, but it's the Mayacamas Mountains. Near Little Sulphur Creek and Big Sulphur Creek. This is near nothing, very much in the middle of nowhere, near some state parks maybe, but kind of like way up there. Geysers Road goes up there, whatever the Geysers is. I'm not really sure what goes on out there, but there's a lot of earthquakes over there. Constantly, every single day, there's a big stack of earthquakes there. We got a few popping up in Washington State today and getting closer to Vancouver. We also had some out here on the Wanda Fuca fracture zone. We've got a couple earthquakes, including a 3.3 up here in Alaska. That 3.3 was at 21 kilometers depth. We also had a 3.5 out here on the Alaskan Peninsula at 31 kilometers depth. A 2.1 out here as we get out to the Adak Island on the Aleutian Island chain at 3 kilometers depth, and also a magnitude 0 at 5 kilometers depth, however we measure that. Hawaii also had its own 3. That's a 3.0 at 23 kilometers depth, and a 2.1, 1.9, and 1.6 down there near Kilauea. The Western Pacific woke back up today. We saw the aftershocks from the 7.1 here in Tibet continue to ripple across. There was another, is this another 7.0 or no, that is the one that hit last night right after we crossed the date line. That's the one that really shook everything up and got a lot of people it was very disturbing for many people and took a lot of lives. There have been surface quakes and some measured at 10 kilometers depth, which is a triangulation dip, so who knows. We have these off the coast of Japan, the 5.1s. Those are from yesterday, and 5.6s are new. 5.3s here. One's at 0 kilometers depth and one is at 534 kilometers depth. So we got that barbell situation. There's a 4.6 off the Philippines, a 4.3 here in Indonesia at 111 kilometers depth, and a few here in the Banda Sea as we get closer to Papua New Guinea, where there was a 4.5. As we get to the Fiji Islands, I believe here, we've got a 5.0. That was, oh no, this is the Vanuatu Islands. This 5.0 was in the Vanuatu Islands at sea level at 0 kilometers depth. We also had a 5.2 out here. This is more towards Fiji, 5.0 and 4.9, all in that same area. Then as we get over here to the border of the Indo-Australian plate and the Antarctic plate, we had a 5.0 or 5.2 and a 4.9 at 14 and 13 kilometers depth respectively. Over here, we like on the coast of Iran, there was that 5.2 from yesterday. There's also been a 4.5 up here in, let's see, in Turkey, in eastern Turkey. We've also got continuing activity from the East African Rift Zone in the 4s and 5s range. So we've got a lot of 4s and 5s continually surfacing in Africa. We've got this big, big earthquake here in Tibet and the Western Pacific waking back up. Ooh, we also had a 4.3 up here in Iceland. Let's take a look at that. This is in Hudson, Iceland. This is Vatnajökull's Vatnajökullsþjóðgarður. You know, I'm getting better at saying these place names, but Iceland doesn't make it easy. That is one of their big glaciers. I bet that there's probably some information about this on, oh, that's the wrong website. I want to go to this. Water levels decreased in Vita by Brunastatrier, but is still high. Precarious ice dams have formed in other rivers across the country. Okay, so we got ice damming. We've got, let's look at Vatnajökull here. This is where we had that magnitude 4.3. Magnitude 4.3. And you see a series of little quakes lining up right around it. Right before it, there was one that goes boom, 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 and got that big one going. I wonder if there is either ice melt or ice shifting in the area that's causing that. Weekly overview. Doesn't have anything since December. Earthquakes, all regions. You can see there's been some up over here. Continuing to get lots of little quakes all over the Rearcast Peninsula, and just kind of like dropped off along the length of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge that runs right through Iceland. Okay, I think that is a wrap on our earthquakes. Let's go to our atmosphere. So here we go. We are looking at the, oh, let me see. Is anybody here yet? Nobody's here. Well, actually there's 4 people here. Hi, hello, 4 people. I don't know. You're not talking, but that's okay. You can just listen and watch for now. This is me. This is my beautiful drawing I'm working on that I'm going to make into a coloring book. This is my December 2024 entry. There's an entry for every month of last year. So maybe I'll make it like a coloring book calendar or something. Who knows? That could be fun. But there's one for every month. There's 12 of them so far. Okay. I take inspiration from weather maps is usually what my creative inspiration is. Okay, let's look at those weather maps that I draw inspiration from. Upper level water vapor imagery from GOES satellite is showing that we've got this nice fire hose of moisture streaming across the mountains in Mexico, scraping. Well, actually, this is at the upper levels, so it's not even really getting scraped by the mountains. Darting right across the Gulf Coast of Texas and Louisiana, kind of wanting to work its way into the mainland United States, but getting pushed out of the way by this high pressure system here that is kind of diverting everything for now. We are expecting a low pressure system to come in and form and sweep through towards, actually, I think air from this area and from this low are going to combine with this moisture and create our next big winter storm. Let's look at our mid-level. Okay, mid-level is showing a much clearer imagery of the water vapor. This is where those Santa Ana winds are causing havoc over in Los Angeles. And there are power outages going on there. There's even more dry air getting sucked into it. I'm sure that this could work its way into a nice system soon, and computer models have resolved to show us that. Lower level imagery of the water vapor shows an even messier little picture, but an even clearer vortex right here. You can see some moisture coming up straight into the areas that have been cooled. This is some really high pressure cold air that's setting in here. So for the next few days, we're not expecting too much except for just bitter cold. Now for the forecast, looking at snow total over the next few days. Looking for really a nice southern snowstorm. This little low over here in the southwest right now is going to sweep across the deep south and combine with the moisture that is coming up from the Gulf of Mexico and the Pacific, and gonna form a nice, and by nice I mean bad, snowstorm that'll hit, peaking. Looks like snowfall totals will peak in Arkansas and sweep through the rest of the South Mid-Atlantic areas. Definitely going to continue to see lots of snow in the Northeast, piling up on top of the already piled up snow up there, especially near Utica, Rochester, Syracuse, really the center of the action there. Lots of snow sweeping across places. Take a look at general precip totals. This is not including snow. That's going to be pretty high as we go through the deep south, the Gulf Coast. That's where the highest precipitation will be. Just won't be in the form of snow necessarily. And we can see how our temperatures would definitely sustain this kind of snow. These are sub-freezing and sub-zero temperatures just everywhere that you see under the blue, like the pink and red and down, and then down into the little white part that pops up past the purple. That is the sub-zero, and this is the sub-freezing. Let's look at the current radar. Even though I don't like the national radar, I don't like the representation the national radar has of snow weather right now, because it's not optimized for winter weather, I think, especially not the type of winter weather that we're experiencing right now. Like, much of the Southeast did get snow and wintry mix this weekend, but it barely showed up on the radar because some of the snow was such fine particulates. It almost looked like ice dust that the radar has a hard time picking up on it. It's that's very small reflectivity signature. So it looks like very, very faint radar signatures, even though this could be still actively precipitating. And you can see that here. It looks like it would just be clouds, not even raining. But since it's so cold, these things that would normally just be clouds do tend to fall down to the earth. And you see the stripy patterns that indicate some straight line winds and like entrainment storms that are going off the lake effect snow here in Lake Michigan, Lake Superior. And definitely streaking all across upstate New York and Pennsylvania, from Erie and Ontario. Over here in Phoenix, actually centered right over Buckeye, we have the low forming that is about to be the snowstorm of the weekend. As this moves through the desert Southwest, it will link up with moisture in the Gulf of Mexico and create that system that will really do some damage here in the South. The middle South, Midwest South, I don't even know what you call this. It's the Midwest. It's not the plains, but it's also still definitely the South and the country, because Kentucky, Virginia, and Missouri are very southern, even if they are technically northern. All these places are still dealing with a lot of power outages. We've still got tens of thousands of customers without power reported here. You can see the areas hit the hardest by where they're still dealing with power outages, and still even in these areas getting some snow, both lake effect and just from lingering moisture in the atmosphere reprecipitating. Let's look at the actual snowfall totals. I'm gonna get that there. Pivotal weather. Let's look at snowfall totals. Observed snowfall. Oh no, not observed precip. Observed snowfall. Past 24 hours, we see that there has been some lingering snowfall in Western North Carolina. I can vouch for that. I saw it here in the upper elevations of eastern West Virginia, in mountain Pennsylvania, also in upstate New York, as well as Delaware and Maryland and Jersey, as well as eastern or coastal Virginia. They're still seeing lots of scattered snowstorms. We've also got a lot in the upper plain, the high plains, and the Colorado, Wyoming, Montana area of the Rockies. Let's see, over 48 hours, we add in big bands of the snow. Over 72 hours or 3 days, we see the results of that entire system streaking across that same latitude in the middle of the United States. That kind of parallels the I-70 corridor. And that's all Winter Storm Blair. Now, let's look at our current hazards from the National Weather Service. They're looking at a winter storm watch for everywhere between Texas and Arkansas and western Tennessee. There's a winter weather advisory for extreme West Texas, New Mexico, and a freeze watch for southern Arizona, in addition to a wind advisory. There's a wind advisory and a high wind warning here in Southern California, and they've even got a freeze watch in a couple counties here in California, as well as a red flag warning. Actually, is that a blizzard? No, that's a red flag warning. You shouldn't have to confuse red flag warnings and blizzard warnings, but unfortunately we're there. blizzard warning is in effect somewhere. Where does that show? Because it is showing up somewhere. I don't see it. Maybe it is a very teeny tiny county right on top of a mountain somewhere, but I don't see where we've got a blizzard warning in effect. Nope. Not seeing it, and I can't click on it, so that's fine. It's going to get cold. It's going to get cold across the Carolinas, mid-Atlantic. Our 6 to 10 day precip, it's going to be drier than normal and colder than normal. Just overall, cold and dry. That very dry kind of snow is the only thing we can expect out of it. Let's go now to look at our Schumann resonances. We can see that in the little window I still have up in the bottom corner here, that there are still some aurora making their way across the sky over Greenland. That's what we're watching video of there. Schumann resonances have quieted down significantly. So anybody going through some really distressing effects of those right now, like really rough dreams or migraines or indigestion, both like constipation or vomiting, I feel like, or just like battling any kind of cold or flu in a way that's like tougher than usual. Like if you usually have a strong immune system and it's weaker right now, or like you're feeling it in your glands of your throat. I feel like that is a hangover from the past few days, the past week of intense activity. And finally, this 3-day stretch, it should be realigning us with the Earth's natural cycles. We're getting a little bit more back in tune to the baseline vibrations of the Earth. So if you haven't gone outside, I know it's really cold, but try to go outside and get in direct electrical contact with the Earth by touching the Earth. Touch grass. I'm telling you to touch grass. And I'm not being sarcastic. I mean, I think it's actually good for your health to go touch the Earth. Yep, go do it if you haven't done it lately. I do think that grounding, earthing is good for you. Okay, let's go to our magnetosphere. Oh, hello. You had a dream last night. I died and I knew I was dead. Oh my gosh, that is a terrifying dream. I hope you learned something. Dreams aren't here to torture us. They're here to teach us stuff. But in the earthly realm, things are really, really scary. You can't make snow cream with December snow anyway. Wes knows, but it's not December. Are you quoting Charlie Brown? Yeah, I touched the dirt and it was cold. The cold, cold dirt. That is Capricorn season right there. Taurus and Virgo are hot, wet, moist, cooling earth while it's warm outside. But Capricorn earth is, that's that cold, cold, hard rock ground earth. And it'll be very grounding for you. And if you feel like you have a lot of heat energetically or otherwise, if you've got a lot of anxiety, this is a great time of year to use your hands, touch that cold ground and push it into the earth. Just if you're worried about the future, just touch that cold ground, give it all that hot energy, because you don't need to hold all your hot energy in. Yes, I was quoting Charlie Brown, though I didn't know that people were getting it from that until like this Christmas. That's cute. We officially are in January snow, so should be good to go for the snow cream. let's go to the magnetosphere. Do I have my chat box on screen, by the way? Can you all see that? I think I do. I need to hook up a second monitor to this. I have a second monitor here. I just haven't rehooked it up since I had to move my computer setup around in November for Thanksgiving. Jeez, been a while. Burned a little bit too much of this earlier, and I had to slowly let that smoke slowly dissipate into the room. Let's see. Velocity, solar wind speed is pretty strong. We got a pretty even flow going on. Let's see how it looks. That magneto tail looks very asymmetrical, but it's starting to have its little wake eddy return, and there it goes again. Nothing coming back. Let's see the density. I like to see this nice contact lens protecting the eyeball of the Earth so we can see the sun better. Little bit of rippling, but nothing too bad. This looks like a stable environment, pretty stable conditions. When it's all one color, that's unstable because things can move from one level to the next very easily. But when we have good like lamination there, when we've got good layers of high density and low density, it's harder for energies to translate from one level to the next. So that's more stable. We've also got a decent ring of pressure around the Earth, especially on the night side. We are in a new moon, or we're in a first quarter moon phase. So, and it is moving towards being full. So the moon is on this side of the Earth. And it will soon be in the magneto tail. That night side of the Earth has a stronger pressure there. Let's go to the solar weather. Okay, solar weather, we've got coronal mass ejections starting up again. And that is probably because our region 3947 has yesterday started a big area of dimming regions, meaning there's probably filaments creeping away from the surface of the sun trying to get launched. So let's take a look at the two CMEs that launched today. That was one, the first one that had a potential full halo. That looked pretty healthy. And there's a second one that looked really fast. Yeah, that got way up there. We had, let's see, from 23 to 28, that's 6 CMEs today and one right at the midnight line on the 8th. Let's see what that's done on our solar. This is the sunspot region that could be launching something Earth direct right now. It's already done some X-class flares. Solar protons still don't want to go back down to nominal. We're in active geomagnetic conditions, or at least we're at active geomagnetic conditions on at 2:45 UTC. The past 24 hours have looked a little quieter as far as the solar flares go. Our last X-class flare was only on the 4th. Only like 3 or 4 days ago. Okay. So our most recent M-class flare was a M1.15, and that was our 24-hour maximum. Just behind, like around 24 hours ago, we got a maximum of M4.87. And it looks like these like little logarithmic looking spikes do want to decrease. So maybe we will have a little bit of an ebb and then a big spike again. But we got to wait for the ebb to ebb out, and then it can flow. Let's take a look at those unsettled geomagnetic. Actually, I didn't look at the shape of the sun. This is the shape the sun is in. Doesn't look like there's too big of a coronal hole there. And region 3947 looks nasty as always. Our far side looks to be developing right alongside schedule. I don't know what I'm trying to say with those words. Far side is looking healthy. Solar wind is still a little elevated, but not as high as it was yesterday. Let's look at our KP index. Yeah, we're still at a KP -4, so we're still under geomagnetic storm type conditions, active geomagnetic conditions. Hemispheric power is going down, though, finally. And we're at a waxing gibbous moon, so we are closer to the full moon than the new moon. So let's go ahead and talk about the planets, shall we? Today I got a really cool new deck that has, it's called the Symbolone, and it is a card game, not an oracle deck. It is the deck of remembrance, and it uses combinations of astrological signs and traditional planet rulerships to help you remember repressed things, help you remember personal insights, memories of the soul, human experiences that will explain the answers to your questions. So you have to frame your question in terms of inner reflection rather than outer divination. You have to be like, instead of, will I find a partner who's good for me? You have to ask it questions like, why don't I feel like any of my partners have been good enough? Or will I ever be a good enough partner? Instead of asking that, you would ask, what inside of me made me feel like I'm not worthy? What made me feel like I'm not good enough? So then you have to draw cards related to that thing. And this isn't like a draw randomly. You pick things in your chart or related to the energies of that thing. Like you could ask about your moon placement, and you would go looking for the card and create spreads based on what the cards are. It's like the opposite of an oracle, where you pull out the cards that correspond to the planetary combinations you're looking into, instead of like drawing randomly to see what the planetary combination. It's really interesting. I'm going to be doing some deep dive work on that. You did legitimately hear people implying you can't eat the first snow. Well, I like that superstition. I think it's a fun one. We should give the sun some privacy when it's ejecting. I do agree with that. I think that is only courteous and fair. The sun is ejecting massive loads, just thick, ropey loads of plasma, and we need to let it have some peace and privacy so that it can spray those loads all over us without making it feel ashamed. I feel like sometimes a lot of these coronal mass ejections happen when it's not earth facing, when the sunspot isn't earth facing, just because it's embarrassed. So the sun shouldn't be shy. We're ready. We're here waiting with arms wide open, ready to take these solar loads. So, okay. I can stop talking about that now. Let's see. The current solar conditions, current planetary conditions. We actually have a dominance of feminine planetary placements right now, which we don't have a whole lot of in 2025. So let's take this time to do some deep diving on our emotions, our soul work, our things that need to be evoked rather than things that are on the surface ready to talk about it. We've got Venus in Pisces. I think Venus is exalted in Pisces, and it's at 5 degrees of Pisces. We've got Saturn at 15 degrees of Pisces, making a sextile to the sun in Capricorn at 18 degrees, lending some of its Saturnian strength and rigid discipline to the sun's transit through Capricorn, so that the sun doesn't get too high and mighty on its own ego and remembers to be more of a disciplined daddy, which is the Capricorn archetype. There's also Neptune in Pisces at 27 degrees. That is making a sextile to Uranus and Taurus at 23 degrees, which is currently retrograde. Co-present in Taurus with Uranus is the moon at 4 degrees of Taurus. That is, the moon is also exalted in Taurus. So we've got the moon exalted in Taurus, and I believe the first decan of Taurus is ruled by the moon. So that's in its proper rulership. We've got Venus exalted in Pisces, which is, I don't think it's in its proper decan. I think the first, what is the rulership of the first decan of Pisces? Let me see. Let's look at the Picatrix faces and tarot decans. The ones of Pisces, we're looking at, the first decan of Pisces is ruled by Saturn. So we're looking at not, Venus doesn't have a rulership in Pisces in these decans. There are other decan systems, and a decan is just a division of 10 degrees within a sign where there is a sub ruler of that. There's, I think this has like more traditional and different decan rulerships, but that first decan of Pisces is ruled by Saturn. So Venus is in a Saturn ruled decan that is co-present with Saturn, which is also getting some flowing energy from a sun transiting in a Saturn ruled sign, which I think is giving us all some discipline about our Venusian aspects right now. Like, for example, buying a deck of remembrance, Venus, purchasing, aesthetics, magic, Pisces, remembrance, co-presence with Neptune. There's a lot of things, or like purchasing some candles, some votive candles that have been magically created. Purchasing magical materia right now feels very right for having 3 planets in Pisces and 2 in Taurus and 1 sun in the middle decan of Capricorn, the second decan of Capricorn, that is ruled by Mars. So sun in the Capricorn 2 decan, that's feeling very right. I think I'm going to do some deep diving with the symbol on this Aries Chiron opposite Libra Black Moon Lilith, because that opposition is squaring where our sun is right now. I'm going to do some diving into that in my personal studies. I'm not ready to use this deck on camera yet, because I got to get a little more acquainted with it and its attitude and what it's going to say to me before I just learn it live on stream. But when I picked up this deck, I felt it in my head, and I feel like I feel very blocked between my like third eye and crown chakras. I feel like they don't get as connected to my lower body chakras as I want them to. I don't feel like I, in the past, have accessed that in a very flowing way yet. So I would like to work with something that seems to activate those. Okay, well, let me go ahead and talk about some of that stuff. Also, we are in the last degree of Mercury in Sagittarius before it moves into Capricorn. And we also have Mars retrograding into the last degree of Cancer. Mars in Cancer is quite the archetype. Protection using martial energy as your home building energy. I talked about this yesterday in yesterday's broadcast. Let's see. Let's go to talking about our vibe weather. Okay. I'm gonna do the bowl thingy. I want to say a prayer for everybody who moved on in the cycle of death and rebirth over in Tibet this week. We've got like 95 souls at least reincarnating now from there. So, and this is a tradition from that area and people. So I want to make sure that I'm honoring the fact that this is all borrowed and learned and hopefully honored correctly. This is a heart-centered compassion prayer bowl. So want to offer heart-centered compassion to the people of Tibet that still have to pick up the pieces of a natural disaster right now. Okay. So now let's start with the tarot today. I haven't started with the tarot in a long time. Oh, I didn't realize that when my earring fell off, I put 2 earrings on one ear. That is really funny. How did I not notice that? Yes. I like to pray together with my friends. I think it's very nice to pray together with friends. Thank you for joining me in that moment. Okay. So what are the vibes? What is the vibe weather right now? I've got some information incoming from a deck of cards that pairs with this piece of labradorite, a beautiful raw labby. I love that flash in this one. It's like a mermaid scale. It's just beautiful. Okay, sorry. We're getting carried away with the little rock. All right. So with this shuffle, what are the vibes coming in right now? What's the vibe weather? What's the weather from the planets, the places, the things, the entities that are either beyond our sensing or comprehension right now? What's the weather from what's just like the energetic weather beyond the planetary archetypes? Ooh, we've got the Wheel of Fortune upright. That is quite a planetary, energetic archetype happening. Very interesting that we are just, praying for people who got cycled back into the cycle of birth and death. And this is a card about the ups and downs, the cycle of life. The Wheel of Fortune, karma, the way that all these things work. In the four corners of the Wheel of Fortune, we have the four fixed signs represented by winged bull, winged lion, winged person, and winged eagle. Or that actually represents Scorpio right there. This represents Aquarius. This represents Leo, and that represents Taurus. So the four fixed signs are represented there. Also got the Sphinx and it's a little demon devil guy and a snake. These all have a lot of different meanings. There's also clouds and the word tarot spelled out in a wheel. Wheel of Fortune is the vibe coming up right now. That's a big one. That's a big deal. That's a big major arcana, number 10, 1 and 0. What about the Wheel of Fortune, though? What about the archetype of life happening in cycles? I have had this iridescent set of cards. This is actually my first deck. This is my first tarot deck, and it's from some place online, and they sent it to me with like Chinese letters on it. So that's fun. And it's iridescent, and that's why I like to put the labradorite with it. Okay, thank you for that. That's quite a big undertaking. To talk about the vibes of the Wheel of Fortune. Actually, I'm going to do some. Nope, not Wheel of Fortune login. I want to look at one of my online guides' interpretations. Good luck, destiny, change, karma, soulmates, decisive moments, cycles of life, fate, fortune, upheaval, and chance. So, quite literally like the game show. Luck or destiny, major change, big changes coming, changes for the greater good, but not all change is easy. Make the most of your time by focusing your intention on what you truly want. The universe has a plan. Okay, so you can either go with the change or you can try to resist it and get knocked over by it. Just like if you're standing in the surf out in the ocean at the beach, you wouldn't want to yell at the wave and tell it to stop to try to not get knocked over. You would change the way your body is standing so that the wave that comes doesn't knock you over and maybe rolls right over your back. You would put your back to the wave and brace against it. Just be ready. Instead of yelling at a wave, you use its medium to work with it, and then maybe you could even do something with it. I don't know. Maybe you could sculpt something with the power of the wave if you knew how it was coming to you. Please stand clear of the impending riptide. Ding. Well, that's the liminal space, what these changes are, because liminal space is the place we're at when waiting for an impending change. So what do you have to say to us, liminal space? This is one that uses ocean jasper with it. Ooh. If you're wondering how this is science or technology, you must be new to the podcast. To the weathercast. The postcast? I don't know. All right, liminal space. What's our vibe? What's our vibes of things going on with the Wheel of Fortune? Current vibe weather. Ha ha ha, break the cycle. That's a great one. Break the cycle has an image of, if I can get the white balance to focus. Break the cycle has image of, I am a vibologist. I do my folder of tabs that I always go to my websites to for this show is called Vibology. That's my bookmark. That's the title of my bookmark folder that I use in the show, Vibology. Okay, the knowledge of vibes. This is, oh, my hands look very dirty. Break the Cycle has this imagery of the DNA double helix strand breaking, which to me indicates breaking generational curses, generational trauma, perhaps expressing different alleles in your DNA or in your chromosomes than was passed down to you. Breaking the cycle in a way of, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just seeing generational curses, family trauma, trauma that's shared and passed down, genetic trauma. We are changing that. We're healing that by being on a different timeline, a different wavelength, a happier one, a healthier one where we love ourselves, and we are actually taking the turmoil of the world and using it for our growth instead of letting it eat us up. Like, for instance, making the most of a natural disaster or turning a cycle of addiction into an inspiring story of how to use the alchemical process to turn shit into gold. Stuff like that, breaking the cycle. I usually read the guidebook for this one, and it's got a great dedication for breaking the cycle. I don't know why I just started interpreting that one, because I usually just, Paradise Felt and Hell coded. I usually just read the interpretation for this deck, so I don't know why I felt the need to interpret it for us there. Okay. Cycles work a bit like curses, especially the ones that need to be broken. The primordial tadpole leaving the seas for land, somehow knowing that there is more beyond what has always been and making a move to find it, demonstrates that life is both cyclical and evolutionary at its core. Due to the ever-changing nature of it, it is inevitable that certain cycles will grow obsolete, unnecessary, or possibly harmful, in need of updates or replacements. If left unchecked, a broken cycle can span generations, crippling those burdened by their dark inheritance. Those looking to break the cycle or curse need only consult nature for instruction. You find life will do absolutely anything to survive and evolve, including defying odds and gravity and changing long-standing patterns, a process that requires equal parts effort and surrender. The ripple effect of your deviation will span across generations, and suddenly the connection becomes clear. Breaking a cycle looks an awful lot like how the cycle began in the first place, except everybody wins this time. Just as you can curse your family for 7 generations in the future, you can heal your family for 7 generations in the past. We dancing through life today, exactly. And this gift or this curse, I don't know which one. There's so many lyrical references in Wicked that I like to interpret as being about trauma, generational trauma, curses and cycles you're born into. I feel like I love the song Dancing Through Life, not only because it is perfectly in my vocal register, and also fits really well into my first pet philosophy, which is nihilistic absurdism, where nothing matters, so why don't you just make it a big joke? I just love that song. It's great. It's a great attitude. I feel like I'm dancing through life all the time, and I do dance as often as I possibly can, especially when I feel like K'ing my S. I find that dance is, I'm not even joking. Like, I do think that is a really helpful way to move through the heaviest, toughest emotions, is to like literally physically dance, and then it gets out. Do some wiggles. Don't give a fuck how they look, because what if you actually do die in 2 seconds? What's the worst that could happen if you're dancing right now? If you're dancing right now and you're going to die anyway, like, at least you were dancing and having fun and feeling good in your body. It doesn't matter how stupid you look. And you're not going to look stupid if you're actually genuinely having fun. That's my opinion anyway. My corpse looks ridiculous. It's on the wrong beat of the Macarena. Okay. This is the last deck. We do the Selenite Charged one. It's more like an affirmation deck, more like a manifesty, abundance, positive type thingy, my bobber deck. It's an oracle of some sorts. Let's see what you've got to say today with Wheel of Fortune and Break the Cycle. This seems very positive, very good vibes today. I think I'm going to do some deep dives, some deep spiritual dives personally tonight after this show. I am life everlasting. I am an eternal being. This is a deck that I guess it doesn't have that many cards, but repeats come up a lot. And this one didn't come up for like months and months for me. I kept drawing the same cards from this deck over and over when I first started working with it. And it's got like the image of a ghost or a person's spirit, or like just the aura with no body, standing in a field of flowers. It's really pretty. I am life everlasting. I am an eternal being. And the interpretation for this one says, you cannot die. You are everlasting life. In grace, you may choose to relax and allow your gentle transition back into your non-physical state of pure positive energy. Your natural state is foreverness. Wow. Again, kind of about the cycle of the wheel of fortune, break the cycle, and I am life everlasting. I'm an eternal being. We all cycle back into the energy out there when we recycle the energy when we leave this body. And I think it's important to remember that we're in the body for a reason, and we don't have to leave it too soon. Even though we might want to leave it, that'll come soon enough in the grand scheme of things. We are life everlasting. So you'll be out of this body like lickety split. We're just in this one for like a brief little glance of time. You will gently transition back to your non-physical state of pure positive energy. Your natural state is foreverness. Yes, we are all one, like Dr. Bronner says. We do go back to being all one after this part is over. So enjoy your individuation while you can. Enjoy the absolute pain and agony of having a generational curse to break. Enjoy the thrill of the roller coaster ride that goes up and down, knowing that you will eventually not be on a roller coaster anymore. You don't have to identify yourself with the fear and pain and exhilaration of the drops in the roller coaster, or the anxiety and peace that come at the top of the hill. You don't have to. You are not the roller coaster. You are a person experiencing a roller coaster right now, and you will eventually be back in the one mass of crowd of people in the amusement park. This life, this physical embodiment on Earth, is just a really scary ride that people, when you choose to embody in Earth beings in the oneness, when you get an Earth embodiment, people are like, oh my God, you're going to Earth? Okay, wow, fucking crazy, sicko. Go absolutely sicko mode. That's wild. It's a very challenging place to be. So if you're on Earth and alive, good fucking job. Takes a lot. There are many other places you could have incarnated, and chose Earth this time, and that's a hard one. So give yourself a pat on the back for making it through that so far. Okay. I think that is going to be it for me for tonight. I'm going to go dive deep into my trauma. I'm going to go try to remember things that I forgot on purpose. Yeah, we stan a precious human birth. It is so powerful and so burdensome to experience a human life. But we do it for a reason. So, yeah, I love you so much. I love you very, very, very much, Wes. I'm going to call you soon, possibly tomorrow. Let's text about it. I love all of you, even my anonymous viewers who never comment, just pop in. I love you all very much. I'm glad you tapped into my stream, literally and metaphorically. Hope that you can come back and see the weather forecast and recap part of it as well. I love you all very much. Have a great evening. With my hands grabbing the little chat box. Okay, I can't do it. Good night, everyone. I love you. Bye.